We are the voices of quantumhealers.com, inspiring healing every day for everyday people.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's Candace Craw-Goldman from quantumhealers.com. I just met Tev.
Hi there. Hi, I'm Tev.
She's one of the attendees here at the Mandela Effect. And were you one of the ones that had a special story about how you got here?
I do.
Would you mind sharing that? And I'm gonna come out of the camera and just hold the mic for you.
Sure.
I'll hold it. I'll hold it for you.
So, I had no idea about this conference. I had a session with Miss Cynthia Sue Larson several years ago, like I think 4 or 5 years ago probably. I don't know by what miracle she remembered me because I hadn't had any contact with her. But she sent me an email a couple of months ago. I didn't see the email. It was buried in my personal email under 20,000 others. Anyway, didn't see it. So about 3 or 4 days ago, I was meditating, and then I got up and I just had this thought, go check your email and search for Cynthia Sue Larson. I was like, why? I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it. I won't question it. So I went, I put her name, and I searched for it, and there was an email that was sent at the end of September. And I opened it up. It's like, hey, I know this is close to where you live. I was like, wow, she remembers where I live. A couple of hours from here, there's going to be the Mandela Effect conference. So I was like, oh my goodness. So it was funny because it was just 2 days before the conference. So the conference hadn't passed yet. So last second, got the tickets, and here I am. And my sister came with me. So it's pretty exciting. Sorry.
So, that's okay. So when you followed your intuition like that, is that something that you do all the time?
I'm not cognizant of when I'm doing it, but I believe I do it more often than not.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes serendipitous things have the most fruitful outcomes, I think, in life.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So you've been here now, and what do you think so far? Have you figured out kind of why your intuition brought you here?
I don't know yet, but I think it will come to me. I have a very scientific background, and I'm a physician, so we're taught to think very differently. But I've always been very open-minded, and quantum physics has also always been an interesting field to me. So getting to see a different perspective on everything is very refreshing and different and painful and enjoyable all at the same time.
This is kind of crazy because, again, there's my talk. It's being set up for here after lunch. I haven't even done my talk yet. And I basically, there's a point in my talk where I'm like, how open-minded is your doctor? I actually say that.
That's funny.
Because I'm sorry to sound like this, but there's not many of you out there.
There aren't. No, there aren't. I think the problem with that is sometimes we forget that a human is a whole.
Yeah.
It's not an organ system. A human is not just an organ system, or you have to treat them as a whole, and that's the mind, body, and soul connection. And you have to give them more than just a script. Sometimes a touch, or your attention, your time, and a little bit of your heart. I think it's what true healing is about, and I'm a huge advocate for that. So we have a lot to learn. So
you're special being here. Now, I have found that their nurses are far more likely to be open-minded to this sort of thing, and that doctors, it's been the hardest to talk to about any of this stuff, any of it at all. And
I could see that because from a very early on in a You're taught about boundaries. You're taught about, things like that will also protect you. And nurses have more contact with patients.
Yes.
Nurses, historically now, they have more physical contact. Doctor might come, let's say at the hospital, the doctor might come round for 5 minutes, but the nurse is there for 12 hours. So I think that there's that component. But also I think in the medical community there's an overall fear of being different or being perceived differently. But I of course practice by the newest medical guidelines. I always try to stay up to date. I practice medicine off of medical guidelines, but I don't think there's anything wrong with adding a human touch to that, adding a little consciousness, a little bit of your soul to that. I don't think there's anything wrong as long as you are following the rules,
Yes.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you can still be a good doctor, practice modern medicine while being a human being at the same time, which I think some of us miss that mark quite often.
Do you ever find it hard to accept information from your own patients? What I find it really interesting is there's a prevailing and attitude out there a lot of times that unless you're a physician, you shouldn't have an opinion, or you shouldn't be doing much research on your own. And I always thought, well, that seems silly. It's so easy to do some kinds of research now, and why shouldn't people look into information on
and I encourage it. I encourage patients to do their own research, but I will also review it. I don't dismiss things. No matter how far out it sounds, I will review it and I will look at it. But, I might not agree with them. And I'll tell you, I'm very open-minded, but I may not necessarily agree. Or I'll say, hey, there's not enough actual scientific research on this for me to recommend this to you.
Right.
But I could see where this is not hurting you in any way. So I'm very open-minded when it comes to that. But I think the biggest disservice we can do is break that trust between a patient-physician relationship, because that trust is vital in their healing process. And if you say, I don't want to listen to it, I don't want to hear it, I don't care what you have to say, I don't care where you looked it up, you've immediately shattered that trust that's already there. And I think that needs to change. I may not agree with what they're bringing me. I may say, hey, this might actually hurt you, but there's nothing wrong with looking at it,
All right, I'm going to end this by putting you a little bit on the spot. What if I told you that during my talk I'm going to show you somebody getting a live sonogram showing a tumor disappearing in real time?
I've seen it.
Fantastic. Do you know what? I'm so happy that you have. I am so happy.
Look, I've seen that video, yeah. And the thing is, miracles can happen, and sometimes you have to look at it as a miracle might be something that science has just not yet learned how to catch.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm open-minded and I'm all for miracles and healings. I've had patients in the past who had pretty bad diagnoses, that they were not meant to recover from. But I tell them I used to do primary care. I'm in the ER now. But I used to say, I'm not your oncologist, I'm not your radiologist. I'm here for your moral support, and I'm here to hold you and help you through this process, And I know the numbers are not for you, but I think that the biggest thing we can teach a patient is that mind, body, and soul connection. I think you have to, a lot of doctors will say, don't give false hope. But that adjective, false, really shouldn't be there, because hope is hope, whether it's false or real, or doesn't matter. I think that people should always prepare for the worst. But I think we have to learn how to expect the best as well. I don't tell people, oh, you're going to have a miraculous recovery, everything's going to be fine, because that's not fair.
Right.
And it's not right. But I always tell them, I'm not your oncologist, but I'm here to help you, but I want you to try to focus on your healing and try to see yourself healed. And I try to keep, I would try to keep them through that process. But I've seen remarkable recoveries from diagnoses that shouldn't have had a recovery, scientifically speaking. So I try to be open-minded when it comes to that. And And when you tell them, oh, this is going to go badly, and every physician you have, oh, this is going to be horrible, they're going to expect nothing but that. Why do that disservice? Stay neutral, uplift them, help them prepare for the worst, but you can also give them hope for the best as well. I think that's a tightrope to walk on. Yeah. It's a tough one, but I think it's possible.
Well, thank you, Teb. Thank you for your time. And while that one video might not have been a surprise, I guarantee you I've got a couple others in there that you haven't seen.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm super excited for your lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you.